It's the new AT&T Bulldog hotline on the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network. This is your chance to talk Bulldog sports with the coach of the Dogs, Mark Richt, and the voice of the Dogs, Larry Munson. Brought to you by Yellowwood Brand Products. For building outdoors, yellow's your color. Airtran Airways. Go. There's nothing stopping you. And by Alpha Insurance. Call Alpha for life. And now, here's your host, the legendary voice of the Bulldogs, Larry Munson.
And good evening and welcome again to the Georgia Bulldog Hotline. The AT&T numbers are the same, 1-888-77-DOGS. Now that number can be worked out to 1-888-773-2947. Or you can just punch in Star Dogs. Dogs had to rally and really work to win. Tech had to rally and work to win. Frankly, all of college football last weekend was scratching and fighting, trying to stay alive. Kentucky and LSU had a huge game, a great game up in Lexington for 3 overtimes. Then Kentucky upset LSU, and that scrambled up part of America. Then unbeaten California went down. Then Cincinnati, Wisconsin. The surprise team from Illinois went down. Southern Cal barely staggered in to win. Number 11, Missouri got beat, and they're pretty good. Florida State lost again. Mississippi State fought Tennessee all day, but they couldn't get to Ainge. And the UT quarterback just stood back there and picked them apart. Alabama and Auburn both had to rally to beat Ole Miss and Arkansas. And now the Dogs, thank God, get a very welcome day off, and they really need this one. Old man injuries grabbed at them again, and if they aren't careful, the young running back from someplace in New Jersey will be sleepwalking after 15 minutes. Coach Richt and the staff have loaded up the varsity roster, I hope, with almost anybody who even looks like he used to be a running back. Coach Richt will be back now in a minute and take your calls. AT&T wants you to enter the Border Bash contest to put you in the house for this year's Georgia-Florida game. Text BASH to Go Dogs 463-647 or stop by your local AT&T store to register. No purchase necessary. Contest ends on October 15th, and the grand prize includes 2 tickets to the Georgia-Florida game, hotel stay courtesy of AT&T. Remember, AT&T has unlimited text messaging. AT&T is the official wireless provider to the Georgia Bulldogs.
Certain restrictions apply. See store for details.
The Bulldog Nation is wherever you and your fellow Bulldogs are. So when you want to bark all across the world, check out the Worldwide 250 calling plan from Charter. Worldwide 250 from Charter is 250 minutes of talk time to more than 200 countries for only $20 a month. Add that to your Charter phone service, and you've got a plan to reach your Bulldog buddies no matter where in the world they roam. Calls to mobile devices are not included. So check out the Worldwide 250 details by calling 888-GET-CHARTER today.
Now, more of the new AT&T Bulldog Hotline on the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network.
Our number's 1-888-77-DOGS, and Coach Richt is out of town and in the middle of a speech, but he's trying to hang in there with us on a cell phone. And let's go to Bruce in Demarest. Go ahead, Bruce, you're on to Coach Richt.
Hey, Coach Richt, Larry.
Hello, Bruce.
Listen, congratulations for the win. And I was wondering, if we're going to bring Caleb King, let him play, next week. If there's any chance of that.
Right. Okay, Bruce, I appreciate that. Right now, we don't have a bringing Caleb out of his redshirt season. I think if Thomas Brown was out for the entire year, we might consider that. But, we've already gone 7 games, and Caleb hadn't played a snap, as we all know. And I'd hate to take a kid out of his redshirt season and just play him a little bit. Then all of a sudden Thomas comes back in a game or two, and then you're trying like mad to find a way to get Caleb the ball a little bit. So I don't want to do that. I want Caleb to know that he's going to have 4 seasons where he can be as productive as I know he can be. You know, you look at next season with all of our seniors leaving, and we got no Sean Moreno, and we got Caleb and whoever we sign. So I know he's going to have a tremendous career, and we're not ready to do that yet. Jason Johnson is a senior. He knows what to do. He's strong. He's tough. He'll help us out. Sean Champus knows what to do at that position, and even if we wanted to go into a one-back set with Brandon Sutherland, Brandon could handle the load, and it might be a way to get Brandon going a little bit more too. So we'll have some other options.
All right, let's go to Jeremy in Memphis. Jeremy, go ahead.
Coach Rick, how are you?
Good, Jeremy. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I was going to ask you about the defense. Before I do, I was going to say get those guys in the trenches fired up on the offensive and defensive line, because I know they got to be as tired as we are, losing to Florida, and I think that's where the game's won up there in the trenches. So get those guys fired up.
Right about that.
But I
You're right.
was going to ask you 3 questions about the defense. First of all, the defensive ends, especially against Tennessee, because we're so small, we seem to get turned in and they run the ball outside. I think Jarius Wynn would do great out there, playing where Marcus Howard is, and I think that'd be maybe something we need to look at. And then as far as the linebackers, I think they blitzed a lot against Vanderbilt. A lot of times we'll blitz the corner, but I thought we did a good job of blitzing linebackers up the middle, and I think that's maybe we need to look at that against T.O. because he likes to run between the tackles. And then third of all, I know our corners line up on the receivers, and a lot of times they'll line up to the line and not hit them. They'll just start back playing on them. And to me, it seems like it'd be better if we could hit them, at least slow them down and give our line a chance to get to the quarterbacks. If we're going to get up on them, we might as well try to hit them. So could you talk about the defensive end, the linebackers,
sure.
listen to corners?
All right, Jeremy. Defense. We've had some production there. We've not necessarily had the guys off the edge that we've had in the past that have really wreaked some havoc and caused some mismatch problems and forcing people to double-team our guys. I mean, I don't see anybody double-teaming our defensive ends right now. So we need more production there. And Jarius Wynn he's a possible candidate for that. I mean, he played some of that, in junior college and is a very talented young man. He's in the rotation with the interior D lineman and being productive for us. But, that's not a bad idea at all with him. But one way or another, we got to get some more pressure off of the edge with our defensive end position. And then, as you mentioned, our linebacking core, we did blitz a good bit this week, and a lot of the things that ended up springing were the little linebacker stunts inside. A couple times we bring both backers and kind of twist them in different gaps, and we did have some success with that. We, believe it or not, when we do that in other games like Tennessee, when you got to, every once in a while, if they got somebody waiting for them, it doesn't look quite as good. But it's not like this is the first game we did it. It was the first game that we had a lot of success with it. As far as our cornerbacks, getting up in a jam position and bailing out, it's very common, not only in college but in the NFL. Teams will play a coverage where at times they will get on top of them and they'll jam them and they'll play man coverage with a safety deep and a linebacker maybe free in the middle. It's called a robber coverage. People run a lot of that, and then a lot of people will show that very same coverage look and then bail to a cover 3 look with a lot of the fire zones or zone blitzes that people talk about. And the reason why people do that, including us, is that we're trying to make both coverages look the same. If we would line up in a press and always play man coverage, then people are sophisticated enough to audible to a play that they know is a very good man-to-man beater. And so you've got to try to disguise your intentions and then, again, show them one thing and do another, or you'll just be sitting there like a sitting duck.
Let's go to Steve in Boca Raton, Florida. Steve, go ahead.
Hey, Larry. How you doing, Coach?
All right.
Hey, Steve.
Coach, it seems like we're a real strong second-half team this year, probably more so than I remember in recent years, and I was just curious what you attribute that to.
Yeah, I'm not really sure that's true. I know this last game we showed a little bit of life in the Tennessee game, second half. And statistically, we may be scoring more than we do in the very beginning. It's hard to say. I do believe our coaches do a nice job of making adjustments at halftime, and we're trying to make adjustments in between series, to be honest with you. But, sometimes it takes players just to settle in and start playing ball, and it may be a sign of some of the youth, but I don't know. I just think that it's probably more coincidence than anything else.
Our number is 1-888-77-DOGS. Coach Rick will be back in a moment.
Now, more of the new AT&T Bulldog Hotline on the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network.
Bulldog Hotline with Georgia coach Mark Richt. You can just punch in Star Dogs if you want to. Let's get back on the switchboard. And let's go to Eddie in Ackworth. Go ahead, Eddie.
Good evening, Coach Richt. How are you tonight?
Good, Eddie. How are you?
I'm doing well. Coach, just want you to know, and I know you know this, most of us Georgia alums, we circle 2 dates on our calendar. It's the hated Gators and the hated Jackets. I sure hope we win in 2 weeks. We got to pull it off.
Right.
And I know you don't listen to much of the talk, but the talk around town this week was about what happened after the game and the fire you showed on your team and everything. And everybody's kind of saying now, well, where's that fire all along? We need that to fire our guys up. Just know that most of us sensible Georgia fans love the way you coach, love the way you handle yourself, and none of that controversy was out there in 2002 and 2005 when we were winning SEC championships. So that's ridiculous.
Mark, did you know you committed a block in the back when you did that?
Did I get a block in the back there?
Well, you should have.
I could have got away with anything at that point. The referees were off the field, so... Yeah, Eddie, I will just say what happened just so everybody understands, because a lot of times things get written that aren't necessarily true. But, the game ended, of course. I'm on my way to see Bobby Johnson to shake hands after the game like we normally do. And as I'm running out there, I see that a lot of our guys are out there on the logo, Vanderbilt logo, jumping up and down, celebrating. And it looked to me, whether that was their intention or not, looked to me like they were just trying to rub it in. Where I'm like, hey fellas, you ought to be just thankful we won this son of a gun, and let's get the heck on out of here. And so, I got mad at them and kind of knocked them off the field, and the best I could. I'm glad they didn't turn on me because they'd have been able to whip me easily. But anyway, and then I shook hands with Bobby and I told him I was sorry that all guys were doing that. And he said, Coach, don't even worry about it. He said, good luck and move on. But I heard where some people said that Coach Johnson and I had a heated argument after the game and all that kind of thing, and that's not true at all. I will say this, too. Since that time, I've been told that, once Katu made the kick, he just kind of started to run out a little bit and celebrate. When everybody got to him, they just happened to be on the logo. I'm not sure I buy that or not, but that could have happened. It could have just been spontaneous and with no harm intended. But anyway, if it looked like that to me, it might have looked like that to Coach or Coach Johnson or the Vanderbilt team or the Vanderbilt fans or even the nation for that matter. And I just want to make sure everybody understood that that's not the way we go about our business.
All right, let's go to Bob in Social Circle. Go ahead, Bob.
Hey, Coach. Hey, Larry. Thank you for taking my call to Bob. Coach, hey, the previous caller just stole a little bit of my thunder. Basically, my comment was going to be the fire and emotion. We all know the reason you gave it, and you were dead to rights to do what you did. I don't think there's anybody anywhere that would argue with what you were attempting to do out there. Coach, I know the Bulldog Nation loved what they saw. We'd like to see some of that fire and emotion transferred from you to that team when we line up against Florida in 2 weeks. We'd love to see that kind of emotion there. That was my.
You want me to punch them all out before the game starts?
just get them fired up, Coach. Just get them fired up.
I'm with you.
I love the fire and I love the emotion, Coach. It was just fantastic to see that side of you for once. You're such a guy.
Usually the guys, Bob, but they usually see it in the privacy of our meeting rooms, or in the privacy of a locker room, or the privacy of our practice fields. So it wasn't the first time the guys ever saw me get emotional about something or outwardly emotional about it. But I'm not arguing with you, Bob. I think that one of the reasons why I tried to stay more calm was because I was in the middle of calling a game, and now that I'm not doing that, that role anymore, I don't see any reason why I can't become a little bit more outwardly emotional, although I do still need to stay calm enough to make good decisions, because there are still an awful lot of decisions the head coach has to make. And I just quite frankly have done a better job of thinking straight when I've been a little bit more calm. That's my personality. That's why you hire assistant coaches that can get after their tail a little bit. But I do pick my shots, and I'll be honest with you, Bob, there's been times when at halftime I've raised all heck and didn't do one good bit of good, and then there's been other times I've just talked to them calmly and reasoned with them about what needed to get done, and they come out and play like gangbusters. So, there was no yelling and screaming when we were losing by 18 points when we were playing Virginia Tech last year, and everybody thought the results of that game was outstanding. I never went ballistic or anything like that. And so I think I still got to be true to who I am, and I think when the players see me get upset, they got to know it's genuine, and I can't sit there and manufacture it. So when the time hits me right, I'll do it. But if not, we're going to continue to. I'm just going to be true to who I am. That's all.
Let's go to Fred in Calhoun. Go ahead, Fred.
Good evening, Coach Rick. Good evening, Larry.
Good evening.
I have a comment. First of all, I just want to say, Coach Rick, I really appreciate the class and the dignity that you expect and that you demand of your players, and I think we all should feel honored and be honored that the good Lord has let us have you as our coach. But I also have a couple of questions that I want to ask you. The first question is, why do you think the SEC, just even in the last 3 to 5 years, has just exploded with just even more competitiveness? It's unbelievable. I don't know if you thought it was due to population or due to the focus that SEC gets in the media or what. And my other question is, I know at the beginning of the season you said you felt like the first 3 or 4 games that your team would really make a lot of progress as far as, learning, college football the way you want them to and all that. Right. I just know if you feel like your team has made the progress that you would like to see them make.
Okay. Sure. Thank you, Fred. Number one, why is this league so equal and competitive? I do think part of the answer is the fact that the coaching staffs have been pretty stable. For the greatest example is, Coach over at Kentucky. They're getting ready to let the guy go. He's doing a heck of a job. It takes a long time to turn a program around the way it needs to be turned around. And everybody's, getting down on the guy, wanting to fire him and all that kind of thing. But, the administration sits there and says, you know what, we believe this guy is making progress. And, Coach Brooks is, they end up keeping Rich, and Rich, he ends up turning the thing around. And now all of a sudden everybody's thinking, what a great move it was. But I think sometimes when programs are too impatient and they change their coaches too quickly, then all of a sudden when that new coach comes in, everything changes again. They change all their staff. The kids get confused as to what the coach wants. Like I know, for example, at Florida State, the offensive linemen were, they're wanting the linemen to be bigger, and they're wanting them to gain weight, and they're wanting them to eat a little extra at night and all that kind of thing. And then the new coach Trickett came in, and Coach Trickett wanted them to be trim. And I'm not saying either philosophy is right or wrong, but if it changes too often, it's very difficult for those kids to really get good at anything. I know when I came here to Georgia, I think before Van Gorder got here, Brian Van Gorder, I think there was like 4 defensive coordinators in 4 years. There was like 5 offensive line coaches in 4 years. it's just hard to get good if you're changing all the time. So I think that's part of it. The other part is that there's just some good coaches and good players around this country, and a bunch of them want to play in our league. Your question number 2 is about the progress. Do I think we've made the progress that I thought we would to this point? I do. I think we're getting there. The thing that we have to do is be able to play well on a consistent basis, regardless of if we're tired, regardless of if we're emotional or not. We got to have enough good habits that those habits will carry you through, because habits last a lot longer than emotion. Even when the game started, we were pretty emotionally ready to play that game, and we jumped on them and got a 7-0 lead. But the game settled down, and then methodically they took the lead, and we had to get back and play good football. You can't stay emotional 12 games in a row. You can't stay emotional for 60 minutes of every game. It's just not going to happen. So now what? Well, the answer is making sure that your fundamentals are so good that you can play well, and your habits are so good that you're going to play good no matter how you feel.
The AT&T numbers are just the same, 1-888-77-DOGS. This is the Georgia Bulldog Hotline with Coach Rick. Back in a minute.
Now, more of the new AT&T Bulldog Hotline on the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network.
You can just punch in Star Dogs if you want to. Otherwise, the calls will go through 1-888-77-DOGS. This is the Georgia Bulldog Hotline on a Monday night. And let's get back into the switchboard, and let's go to Scott in Jefferson. Go ahead, Scott.
Good evening, guys. How y'all doing this evening?
All right.
Good, Scott. How are you?
Good. I just got a quick comment and a question. I just want to say it was a great win. We had a great trip to Nashville, and I highly recommend that trip to anybody. It's a great place to go visit and support the Dogs. We enjoy it a lot. Quick question is, I noticed against Alabama, we elected to sit on a 10-point lead, and it kind of bit us a little bit. And Saturday, we kind of chose to throw away 3 timeouts in 2 minutes right before that half. I mean, is this an execution thing, or are we just trying to be a little bit conservative and come back the second half?
Yeah, well, that's a question, Scott. I'll say this. I'm not sure where he might be talking right before the half that we didn't become more aggressive, because in the Alabama game, I don't ever remember trying to not score or not move the ball, but we might have right before the half elected to try to run the ball and not get any movement down the field. But what happens, Scott, is you got to make a determination. What's the wisest thing to do? If the way the momentum was going in that game, I would have liked to have thought that we were going to turn that thing around and just march on down the field and score a touchdown. But we did not get a great return. We were deep in our territory, and they had timeouts also. If we ended up chunking that ball a couple times, get 2 incomplete, and then end up, doing whatever and ended up having to punt out of there deep in our territory, and they used maybe a timeout, got 2 timeouts left, still got plenty of time to score on us. I didn't want to make it any worse than it was. I thought the momentum was clear to their advantage, and we weren't executing well enough, in my opinion, to risk that at that time. Now, I thought about, should I be more aggressive or not, but it was my decision. It was not Bobo's decision. He asked me what I wanted to do with it, and I said, let's run the ball and see if we break one. If we get a first down, we'll go right into our no-huddle offense. But we got stuffed and ended up having to punt the ball. But at least by the time we punted it, they didn't have time to score. We went in there down 10 and regrouped and came back and won the ball game. Now, that could come back and bite you, and it may not. But at the time, I felt like that was the best course of action.
Let's go to Barry in Tupelo, Mississippi. Go ahead, Barry.
Yes, good evening, Coach. Congratulations on another victory. Great accomplishment to continue the victory this season. Quick question. Seems like over the last year and last couple of years, our running defense quite as successful as it was earlier in your tenure. Just to ask for your thoughts on how we can turn that around and raise it back to the level at which you when you were first here. Thank you. I'll listen.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's any doubt that we've not been as strong in the run, and I think some of the reasons are, some of the interior defensive linemen, and the front seven maybe has not been quite as dominating. We had Big Sullivan back there in the day, and a few other guys that made more plays early on. I think our to be honest with you, our interior defensive line is doing a pretty good job right now. Another thing, I think our safeties. When you got the Thomas Davises of the world and Greg Blues and Jermaine Phillips and those guys, I think we were getting a little bit more support from the safeties. I thought we were making more vicious tackles at the safety and linebacker position. And I think we got to get back to doing that. So I think it's a combination of everybody, tightening the screws down just a little bit, and being stronger up front and fitting properly with our linebackers and our safeties doing a better job of being there at the moment of truth and really striking people. So we've got we got a ways to go in that area, and hopefully we'll continue to get better. The good news was the second half of that Vanderbilt game, I thought we really tightened things down and shut those boys out and did what we had to do to win it, and that was a great sign.
Let's go to Carl in Bainbridge. Go ahead, Carl.
Hey, how y'all doing tonight?
All right.
Good, Carl, how are you?
All right. You and Larry are two of my favorite people.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask you about Darrell Gamble. Did you think he'll move up on the chart some?
Right, sure.
And is there an answer to one more question? Is there an answer to stop Tim Tebow? I'll hang up and listen.
That's a real good one. Carl, Darrell, I tell you, he's only a freshman. He's a redshirt freshman. We all know that, and a lot of his career is ahead of him. But, in camp, we didn't think he was really playing as physical as we'd like. Some of the comment I just made on the last question, we got to be physical at linebacker. We got to enjoy hitting. We got to strike people, whether they got the ball or not, whether it's a blocker or the ball carrier. And we thought Darrell was coming on, but he just was still lacking that instinct to go really strike. And then about 2-3 games into the season, we continued to work our inside run, and we always work our first and second units. And Darrell really started to get physical, and he started to hit people, and we started to like what we saw, and so we've given him more of an opportunity to play. Now this next game with Brandon Miller coming back, and hopefully Brandon coming back, and Marcus Washington coming back, it may be tough for Gamble to get Darrell to get some of those reps that he was getting this last ball game. But our opinion of his maturity level is very positive. He's really moving in the right direction. We're excited about where he's going. The second question being, can you stop Tim Tebow? I'll tell you what, It's tough. It really is tough because when your quarterback can run the way he can run, normally you will put a safety into that running game or spin him down into the box, as we like to say. And when you do that, you normally outnumber the running game of an opponent because the quarterback normally hands off the ball and watches. Well, now if your quarterback's a runner, you got to put a safety down in the box just to get the numbers even, just to get, we got somebody for one of their blockers. So now that means you got to whip a blocker more often. You can't rely on an unblocked man making the hit, and then the guy who's running the ball is as strong as most fullbacks. So you got problems there in the run game. Plus, he can throw the ball like everybody has now seen. Last year, he did most of the running, and we're like, well, shoot. I mean, the fans were hoping that maybe this guy can't throw, and they found out he sure enough can.
This is the AT&T Georgia Bulldog Hotline with Georgia head coach Mark Richt. Back in a moment.
Now, more of the new AT&T Bulldog Hotline on the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network.
Just punch it in, Star Dogs, if you want to. Let's get back into the switchboard. Let's go to Scott in Grayson. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, Coach and Larry. Congratulations on the win. I was glad to see us get out of there with a victory. A have questions pertaining to the running backs and also pertaining to the defense. Running back wise, I wanted to see if Noshawn Marino was totally healthy. It looked to me like late in the ball game he came off the field after making a big block, holding his left arm kind of close to his body, somewhat like a separation might be, and I was holding my breath that he was all right. And then he went back in the game and kept, and did a good job the rest of the ball game. So I was hoping it was just maybe a slight stinger or just something, that bothered him just slightly. But if you could comment on that. Glad to hear about Sutherland maybe getting more of a role as the one back, because I still going to keep beating the drum, hoping we're going to get him the ball more. But defensively, want to see, did Auburn lay the blueprint for us a couple weeks ago with all the twists and the stunts they ran against Tebow, essentially filling all those running lanes he loves to utilize on all the QB draws? Seemed like Auburn just did a fantastic job of stoning him, and really I haven't seen anybody stop Tebow like they did that night in the swamp. So if you could comment on how we might utilize some of their plan with our personnel, and look forward to being out in a couple weeks, Coach.
Thank you, Scott. Noshawn, he did get a little stinger, as you said. Ron Corson, our director of sports medicine, was telling me that it bothered him some during the game, but he like you say, he shook it off and finished strong. And then there was no ill effects on Sunday, and today I hadn't been at the office much. I've been handling a few quarterback clubs that I'm obligated to do, and also I haven't really asked Ron how Noshawn was doing today, but I know he was there lifting with the entire team. Everybody got a real good hour-long lift between 4 and 5, and they started meeting with the coaches to cover what happened. I can promise you on the other question that we will be studying Auburn's defense and what they did, and I'm sure we'll be implementing as many things as we think we can with our personnel that would be worthwhile, and that's true of everybody. Who's played Florida to this point. We'll study every game that they've played to this point and try to find the best things that seem to have given them some trouble, which, like you say, there aren't many. But if we could find out a little tidbit here and there that can make a difference, we'll definitely install it.
Let's go to Mark in Winterville. Go ahead, Mark.
First of all, I'd like to say it's an honor to speak with both of you fine fellas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
And Coach Rick, I'd like to comment on the commentators on the ball game the other night were saying something about Stafford maybe throwing the ball a little late. In your observation of watching the game film, did you seem to notice that too? And I honestly was wondering, if you say yes, do you think we probably could have won that ball game in double digits? And I hope to see y'all bring a little gator meat back to Athens in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, there was a couple deep balls that he did let go too late. I think if he had thrown them a little bit sooner, one in particular, I think we'd have scored. There was one time he threw it late where part of the reason why he threw it a little bit late was that we wanted him to drop back and to give just a little bit of a pump fake to an inside receiver. The inside receiver was going down the middle. The outside receiver was going deep on the outside. And he did make that little pump fake, and then he recoiled and threw the ball. And that might have been what the commentators were talking about, but that was by design to try to get the two deep safety to play the middle receiver, make him kind of jump towards him and then launch it down the field deep. And I don't think he threw that late as much as he should have thrown it a little bit further up the field in play, and I think that could have resulted in a touchdown also. I think there's only one time where I could say, he did cut the ball loose a little bit late. But, the commentators, a lot of times they know or they can watch it and have a sense of what you're trying to do, and then every once in a while they're not sure what the game plan is, and they're making an observation when they're not exactly sure what the coaches were trying to get accomplished.
And let's go to Clay in Guyton. Go ahead, Clay.
Larry, good to talk to you, Coach. Always a pleasure. Larry, we missed you on the away games there. And Coach just got one comment on Trip Chandler. He's had some troubles in the first of the season, but he's turned around and he's playing his tail off for us right now. made a big catch for us over the end and got popped pretty good and then jumped right back up. Had a little no Sean Marino rub off on him.
Yeah,
But we got the number one tight end in the country we recruited last year, Aaron White. We feeding that boy a bunch of meat and potatoes and getting him thickened up, ready to play tight end for us. How's he looking, and how we plan on using him?
Yeah, Aaron is really beginning to grow. When we signed him, we said we're not sure if he's going to play tight end or receiver because he's about, the day he said he was coming to Georgia, he weighed 212 pounds. Well, 212 pounds isn't going to hold up very good against some of these 260-pound defensive ends. And he certainly has shown us in camp that he is a very talented receiver. And now the question is, will his body grow into a full-time tight end? And he's getting there for sure. He's probably in the 220, 225 range now. So he's getting much closer to where he needs to be. And, the goal for him to be would be, to be a full-time player where you can get some blocking and some pass receiving out of him. If he struggles with his size, we would probably use him more as an inside receiver and maybe not so much as a true tight end. But I think he's going to grow into that.
You are listening to the Georgia Bulldog Hotline. The AT&T numbers are still the same, 1-888-77-DOGS. Back in a moment.
Now, more of the new AT&T Bulldog Hotline on the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network.
And let's get back on the boards, and let's go to Morgan in Lexington. Go ahead, Morgan.
How you doing, Larry? How you doing, Coach?
All right.
Morgan.
Two quick questions for you, Coach. For Stafford playing QB, when he's sometimes missing receivers and stuff like he was against Tennessee and against Vanderbilt this week, is he much better than the other quarterbacks we have on the team to where they can't come in and play? I know Cox has been there a couple of years and look like he'd all know the offense as well as Stafford has. And also, what positions do you see that the team needs to recruit in to make them get to the next level? What positions do we need that we're in need of? And I'll hang up and let you tell me. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Morgan. Yeah, you're right about Joe Cox. He does know the system, and he practices extremely well. And I'm not so sure that Joe shouldn't get to play a little bit anyway. Not whether Matthew's playing good or Matthew's struggling or whatever with his accuracy. Because Joe, I said it early in the year. I think Joe has practiced well enough where he ought to get to play some. And then these games have been so tight, we've not wanted to make that move, but because there's always a risk of bringing in a new quarterback kind of cold off the bench, and so we hadn't done that. But Joe's a talented guy. He's a sharp guy, and I don't think there's any doubt that he could play well for us. I'm not going to sit here and make a promise, but I can just say he's a good football player, and that's something not that we've made any kind of decision on or really discussing a whole lot. But as far as the recruiting, we've got a bunch of commitments right now, and the class is just about done. I will say that, there's at running back, we could probably certainly take another one, a great one. Offensive tackle, I believe we got to get us one of those at least. If we could get two, that'd be awesome. I think we're about done at defensive end, interior defensive line. I think we got, if we could get a great one. I think across the board, if there's a great player out there still, you just got to get him. But so there are some other positions that we could use a great one. But right now, those ones I mentioned would probably be the top right now. I know we need another. We definitely need another safety in this class to really feel good too.
Let's go to Bill in Valdosta. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, Coach Larry. Good to talk to you tonight.
Hello, Bill.
I'm kind of going to be redundant with the last caller, Morgan, and I remember, Coach, you did say that we would see more of Joe Cox, and that he did deserve some playing time. And the question I have really is, when David Green was there, and of course Shockley, you used two quarterbacks, even when I know a lot of people didn't want you to, and you went on through with it, and it worked out fine, and we ended up with two great quarterbacks and two SEC championships under them.
Right.
And I just really wanted to know, when we get down like 21 points something, I understand bringing a guy in cold off of the bench, but are we going to see him a little bit more?
Yeah, again, I'm not going to sit here on the air and make a promise that I can't keep. I mean, I know I can decide one way or another, but again, I do believe in Joe. I think Joe's a good football player, and I wouldn't be shocked if I was a fan to see him out there just because he deserves to play and he's ready to play. So, but I'm not going to make that promise right now.
Well, it's an off week. Make sure that the kid from New Jersey goes to bed.
He needs as much rest as he can get, doesn't he?
This has been the Bulldog Hotline with Georgia head coach Mark Richt.
You've been listening to the new AT&T Bulldog Hotline on the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network. Brought to you by Yellowwood Brand Products. For building outdoors, yellow's your color. Verizon Wireless, proud sponsor of the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network. And by AirTran Airways. Go. There's nothing stopping you. The following is a presentation of WSB Sports and the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network.
Stafford will fake the handoff, throw back across the field to Wilson. It's complete. Wilson up near midfield, across the 50 down to the 40-yard line. They'll hand it to Marino, cuts back straight ahead. Hole, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, a race to the edge.
This is the best of the Bulldogs.
They pitch it to Jackson Garrison. To the 15, he plows over him, and he fumbled the ball. He fumbled it. Georgia says we have it, and the Dogs have the ball.
And now, the host of the best of the Bulldogs, Neil Hondo Williamson.
Hello, Bulldog Nation. Welcome to our weekly recap show. This past weekend in Nashville, the Georgia defense was both stingy and opportunistic in the second half, and Noshawn Moreno had a career-best day rushing the football as our Bulldogs rallied past Vanderbilt 20-17. And of course, let's not forget Brandon Coutu, who kicked the game-winning field goal as time expired. If that sounds like fun to you, then stick around because we'll replay the best highlights from Scott Howard and Eric Zeyer's play-by-play and go behind the scenes with UGA players and coaches when we return with Best of the Bulldogs on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network.
This is the best of the Bulldogs. Now back to Neil Williamson.
Our conditions in Nashville couldn't have been finer on Saturday when Georgia took the field against Vanderbilt for an SEC showdown. Sunny with a slight breeze, perfect football weather. Vandy received the opening kickoff. and our Bulldogs immediately served notice to the Commodores' offense.
Chris Nixon will get the start at quarterback. It was a game-time decision for Vanderbilt. He'll spin and roll out to the near side, and Georgia will drop him behind the line of scrimmage. Big Geno Atkins with his 7th tackle for a loss. That's tops on the team. He dropped Nixon back at the 28-yard line.
Vandy went 3 and out, and after a punt, the Bulldogs took over at their own 31. On 3rd and 8 during that first series, quarterback Matthew Stafford went to the air.
Stafford drops back in the shotgun, will fire down the middle, and it is complete to Goodman, who broke it open on a little slant at the Vanderbilt 45-yard line. D'Amico Goodman with another big catch. He got 3 more yards after the catch. Now they're going to move it back to the 44-yard line.
Stafford to D'Amico Goodman, a combo that's quickly becoming a favorite of Georgia fans. 3 plays later, our Bulldogs had crossed midfield and faced a 3rd and 14 at the Vandy 46.
Stafford stands in that Vanderbilt star logo right in the middle of the field in the shotgun. Takes the snap, drops back, they run a screen, complete to Marino, outside the far hash. Marino at the 40, Marino at the 35, and Marino down to the 33-yard line perhaps. Clint Bowling with a key block for Noshawn as the Dogs pick up the first down.
Special K, Noshawn Moreno, would be extra special on this day. With that Moreno ramble, Georgia had reached the Vandy 32. The drive stalled, however, and Bulldogs kicker Brandon Coutu entered to try and draw first blood.
Coutu on for Georgia. They're going to try a long field goal, a 49-yard field goal for Brandon Coutu. Certainly within his range. Right in the middle of the field, there's the snap and the hold, and the kick is long enough. Is it good? No! Doink off the upright. It hit the left upright and shakes the goalpost to our left. The kick is no good, and the score remains 0-0 with 8:29 to go in quarter number 1. Georgia fails to score on its first possession.
That was a tough luck miss for Brandon Coutu, but he would get a couple more chances later in the night when the stakes were even higher. Nonetheless, the drive gave Georgia some early momentum, and that extra charge showed up on Vandy's first play from scrimmage after the miss.
Mackenzie Adams, the quarterback for the Commodores. They work from left to right. They'll hand it off to Jennings in the backfield, try to run it to the far side. There's a fumble on the field, and the ball is going to be recovered by Georgia. It's Georgia football at the 33-yard line. There's a pile of players. Who comes out of there with it? Was it Weston who got it? Cade Weston. Keelan Johnson in there on that stack as Georgia forces the turnover.
Fumble recovery by Cade Weston. Georgia, 1st and 10 at the Commodores' 32.
Stafford under center. Play action fake to the tailback Marino. Going to go deep again. He's got a man in the end zone. Bailey, touchdown! Yes, indeed. Sean Bailey backing his way into the end zone. Had it pop right in his chest plate. Perfect pass from Matthew Stafford. Dogs lead it 6-0.
Brandon Coutu's extra point gave Georgia a 7-0 lead with about 8 minutes to play in the first quarter. Vanderbilt countered immediately with a long drive. Beginning at its own 28, Vandy marched 12 yards to the Georgia 4-yard line. On 2nd and goal, the Georgia defense almost stole the ball.
Nixon takes the snap. His pass is batted in, incomplete at the line of scrimmage. Was trying to hit Sean Walker on a quick slant in the end zone, and Georgia got their hands up and was able to tip that pass away.
On 3rd and goal, the Dogs' defense held firm again.
I formation for Vanderbilt. Case and Jackson Garrison, the tailback. Nixon, quick drop back fade pattern on the far side. Incomplete, broken up by Prince Miller in the far corner. Tried to go to George Smith, the 6'3 junior, on a fade to the far corner, and Miller all over him to break up that pass. It is 4th down, and here comes the Commodore kicking team. They'll try a field goal.
Well, nice little character check there by the Georgia defense, and Vandy continues to struggle this year. 17 of 26, now 17 of 27 in the red zone, pending this kick.
Prince Miller's pass breakup kept Vandy out of the end zone and forced the Commodores to go for 3.
Bryant Honfeld is the kicker. Mackenzie Adams is the holder. There's the snap and the hold, and the kick is good by Honfeld, who is now 8 of 11 on field goal tries, and the Commodores are on the board. A 21-yard field goal for Vanderbilt makes the score Georgia 7, Commodores 3 with 65 seconds to go here in quarter number 1. That was a long drive for Vanderbilt as They started that with a little more than 8 minutes to go, so better than 7 minutes, Eric, on that drive. That's a long time for that defense to stay on the field.
Well, the defense was out there for a long time then, and remember, when we recovered the fumble, it was just a one-play offensive drive to score that touchdown. So our defense has been out there for a pretty decent amount of time. It'd be nice now to come back, establish a little bit of the running game, control the ball a little bit. We've done such a good job being aggressive today. You don't want to see us get away from our game plan, but you want to see us continue to pound the ball and really control the clock a little bit better.
Georgia's defense had stiffened nicely in the red zone, and the Bulldogs' lead was 7-3. On the final play of the first quarter, Georgia faced 1st and 20 at its own 15-yard line. Then, the Bulldogs gave the ball to Noshawn Moreno.
It's 7-3, Georgia leading Vanderbilt. 2 receivers right, 1 to the left, 1 back in the backfield. That's Moreno. As Stafford under center, calling the signals, will take the snap and hand it to Noshawn, right side. Noshawn cuts back this way. He's got some running room to the 15, to the 20, in the middle of the field to the 25, up to the 29-yard line. Noshawn Moreno from the 15 to the 29, a nifty 14-yard gain. They may spot it back on the 28, so call it a 13-yard gain for the redshirt freshman from New Jersey, DJ Moore, the cornerback, making the stop.
Well, Noshawn right there makes a little cut, makes 3 guys on Vanderbilt's defense miss, breaking a nice run there on first down.
Noshawn had accounted for 23 of Georgia's 88 first quarter yards. That 14-yard run was a preview of what Special K had in store for Vanderbilt Saturday night. Second quarter highlights are ahead. And hey, Dog fans, be a part of the bright lights and big show this season at Stegman Coliseum and get your Georgia women's basketball season tickets for only $25. This season's schedule features home games against Georgia Tech, national champion Tennessee, and SEC champions Vanderbilt. Log on to GeorgiaDogs.com or call 877-542-1231. 877-542-1231 and order your Georgia Lady Dogs basketball season tickets for only $25. Hey, don't go away. We'll hear more highlights from Georgia's nail-biting win over Vanderbilt, plus comments from Coach Mark Richt, Matthew Stafford, and more coming up on Best of the Bulldogs.
When we come back on the Best of the Bulldogs,
Stafford will fake the handoff, throw back across the field to Wilson. Is complete. Wilson up near midfield.
More highlights from the Dogs versus Vanderbilt here on the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network.
Hi there. We're delighted that you're listening to Best of the Bulldogs. This is Neil Hondo Williamson, along with producer-writer Tony Schiavone and producer-engineer Jim Ayers. While the football team now gets a much-needed week off from the action this coming Saturday, the Best of the Bulldogs will still take to the air next Monday. Join us for a special recap show, including all the great moments from the first 7 games of the season thus far. From the overtime heart-stopping win at Alabama to the big SEC victories over Ole Miss and Vanderbilt, we will cover it all. Join us in 1 week right after the Bulldog Hotline here on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network. We're looking back now at Saturday's last-second victory over Vanderbilt. The first quarter ended with a 14-yard scamper by Noshawn Moreno, whom Georgia coach Mark Richt compares, from an energy level standpoint, to another former Bulldog star.
He's an amazing guy. And, I know he's a freshman, and I probably should have played him last year when you look at it now, but he's just got a wonderful spirit about him. He's got an energy level. He's got the energy level that David Pollock had, and I think it's safe to say that because that's big words to say that. But Pollock had a spirit about him and an energy level that was unmatched, in my opinion, and was a catalyst for our football team back then. And I think Noshawn is beginning to be that for us right now.
Here's Coach Richt. Back to the action. 4 plays into the second quarter, Georgia had driven to its own 39 and faced 2nd and 9 when Matt Stafford went to the air.
Stafford will fake the handoff, throw back across the field to Wilson. Is complete. Wilson up near midfield, across the 50 down to the 40-yard line.
and they may spot it at the 39 of Vanderbilt.
Tony Wilson was Georgia's leading receiver on Saturday with 4 catches, including that one for 57 yards. That UGA drive was halted by Vanderbilt, though, and Georgia punted. Starting at their own 20, the Commodores were looking to take the lead, but the Georgia defense made the going tough.
Cason Jackson Garrison, the lone setback for the Commodores. Mackenzie Adams, the quarterback, works under center. 4-man defensive front for Georgia at the 33-yard line. Mackenzie Adams drops back. He's hit. The ball is loose, and the Commodores are going to recover the fumble back on their own 24-yard line.
The Commodores eventually moved the ball across midfield and then called on speedy defensive back DJ Moore to switch positions and carry the ball.
End around to DJ Moore up the near hash. He's got an opening. There he goes. 40, 30, 20. Tackled at the 15-yard line by C.J. Bird. DJ Moore took it on an end around, came to the near side, got a gap, and just shot right through it up into Georgia territory, but Bird able to bring him down at the 15-yard line.
One play later, Vandy dug deep into the bag of tricks to hit pay dirt.
They'll bring Moore in motion. They hand it to him again. This time they run a reverse. A reverse to Walker near side. 10, 5, touchdown Vanderbilt. They handed it to DJ Moore on the end around again, going to the far side. He pitched it to Sean Walker, coming to the near side, and the Commodores take the lead on some trickery. The end around reverse to Sean Walker. He got into the near corner of the end zone, and Vanderbilt has taken a 9-7 lead.
The extra point put Vanderbilt ahead 10-7. It also served as a momentum shifter, as on their next offensive series, the Bulldogs found the going difficult.
Marino offset to the left of Stafford. Takes the shotgun snap. Will have to run out of the pocket. Going to be dropped at the 23, 24-yard line. That'll be a sack as he is dropped for a loss behind the line of scrimmage. A couple of offensive linemen trying to mix it up after the play, but Georgia went nowhere on that series as the Dogs will be forced to punt as the Commodores, Jonathan Goff got in on that sack at the 23.
Georgia and Vanderbilt exchanged punts over about a 5-minute span. With 4:22 remaining in the first half, Vandy began a drive in prime field position, 1st and 10 at the 50. Commodores quarterback Mackenzie Adams called his own number 4 straight times on this possession, running the option down the Bulldogs' throats to the 16-yard line. Then, on 3rd and 8 at the Georgia 16.
They break out 3 to the right, Bennett in the slot, Walker to the left by himself. Jackson Garrison in the backfield, Adams in the shotgun, takes the snap, throws it to the near corner, and it is a juggling catch. No, out of bounds. Walker nearly had a tremendous catch with good coverage by Prince Miller in the near left corner of the end zone, but he couldn't maintain possession and keep his feet in bounds. It is an incomplete pass.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm glad Adams picked that side of the field to go to, because on the other side of the field, Earl Bennett put a move on that was fantastic, was standing wide open in the corner of the end zone.
Incredible catch. Initially ruled out of bounds and incomplete, but the play was reviewed, and the officials rendered a new decision.
Scott, I think it's a touchdown. From that angle, it looks like it looks like he got his foot down. I want to see if any other part of his body was out of bounds.
He was juggling. He had it. It does look like a score. It looked like he had his left toe down in near the back line of the end zone in bounds when he was able to cradle the football. That may be a touchdown for Vanderbilt.
Well, it may be, and that's going to be on the highlight reel for a long time. That's one of the more spectacular catches I've ever seen.
Tremendous effort by Sean Walker. Commodores may have 6 more coming soon. Hey, Georgia men's basketball season is coming up. You don't want to miss a minute of the game day action. Log on to GeorgiaDogs.com or call 877-542-1231.
The ruling on the field is reversed. His foot was in. It is a touchdown.
Steve Shaw, the official with the call. The replay official is Al Ford, but that was the right call. I mean, as much as we don't like it, that was the right call. After we looked at the replay, he did have possession of the ball and did get his toe down.
Well, it was one of the best catches I've seen in a long time, and it was the right call. He got his foot down, and that just ignited this Commodore bench over here. These players are going crazy.
The catch was good, and so was the extra point. And when the first half ended, Georgia found itself on the short end of a 17-7 score. Little did the Commodores know, however, that they had completed their scoring for the night. When we return, Georgia's defense shines. Noshawn Moreno shows his beast of burden skills, and Brandon Coutu plays hero. It's all ahead after this break on Best of the Bulldogs on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network.
Coming up next on the Best of the Bulldogs.
They'll hand it to Marino, cuts back straight ahead, hole, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, a race to the edge. Marino down to the 2-yard line.
More action of the Dogs against Vanderbilt here on the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network.
Neil Honda Williamson back in the saddle for second half highlights and post-game interviews. We'll hear from Coach Mark Richt, Coach Willie Martinez, Matthew Stafford, Noshawn Moreno, and more. Thanks for tuning in to Best of the Bulldogs, and please tell your friends in the Bulldog Nation about the show. Georgia trailed Vanderbilt by 10 as we opened the second semester, but showed a freshness and intensity from the get-go, starting with Noshawn Moreno's 1st and 10 run.
First play of the second half is a toss sweep to Moreno. He gets outside to the 35, up to the 40, still on his feet, and driving to the 45-yard line. Noshawn Moreno, a 15-yard gain the hard way, with black shirts hanging all over him.
Noshawn Moreno was a team captain for this game, despite his freshman status, in part due to his play, and in part due to his great attitude.
Yeah, we went to half down. We just kept our heads up, man. We made some big plays in the second half, and the guys did a great job just keeping their head in the game.
There's Georgia running back Noshawn Moreno. The Bulldogs drove into Vandy territory and eventually faced 3rd and 2 at the 47.
Stafford hands it to Lumpkin, left side over left tackle. He plows his way across the 45 for the first down. Brandon Sutherland leading the way over there, and Lumpkin ran right behind him for the first down.
Craig Lumpkin with the carry and the first down. Unfortunately, that would be the last carry Saturday for Craig Lumpkin. The senior, who just returned from a broken thumb, injured his knee on the play, and his status for the remainder of the season is uncertain at this time. Georgia carried on after the Lumpkin run, though. On 3rd and 2 from the Vanderbilt 34, Noshawn peeled off a beauty.
Figgins in motion, they'll hand it to Marino, cuts back straight ahead, hole, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, a race to the edge. Marino down to the 2-yard line. Noshawn Moreno right up the middle and kicked it to the outside, but was chased down at the 2. Georgia has it 1st and goal.
The Dogs have come out here this second half and really committed themselves to running the football and being physical. Noshawn Moreno, great job getting through that gap. Our offensive line got on the second level quick, and then Noshawn just uses his speed to get outside.
DJ Moore able to chase him down before he could get to the end zone, but 1st and goal for Georgia.
The 32-yard gallop made it 1st and goal at the 2. One play later, Georgia was in the end zone.
Chappis, Sutherland gets the handoff, and he digs his way into the end zone. Touchdown, but wait, check the flag. Dropped on the far side of the field in the end zone. Going to be against the Commodores, it looks like, as Georgia's offense is dancing and pointing and clapping as they skip their way off the field. Here's Steve Shaw with the call.
Offsides, interior line on the defense. The penalty will be declined. Touchdown.
Brandon Sutherland, the touchdown, makes it a 17-13 ball game with the point after to come here from Brandon Coutu.
Brandon Coutu's PAT was good, and our Bulldogs had sliced the Vanderbilt lead to 17-14. The scoring drive to open the third quarter had also fired up the Georgia defense. After kicking the ball to the Commodores, UGA's defense held tough. And on 3rd and 4 from the Vandy 42.
1-yard gain for Vanderbilt's 3rd and 4. Shotgun for the Commodores. Jennings in the backfield along with Nixon, the quarterback, is going to take the snap, stand in the pocket, run straight ahead to the 40, to the 42, to the 43 maybe, and hit and knocked back as Keelan Johnson and Ellerby and Atkins were making the stop for Georgia, but Nixon's going to be close. Dewberry in there on the stop for the Bulldogs as well. They may have to measure this one. Let's see where they spot it. They do spot it near the 43-yard line. It may be short, and it is by about a foot or so. And the Commodores rush the punt team onto the field, and we'll see if that's exactly what they're going to do.
Georgia with the stop. After an exchange of punts, Vanderbilt was first and 10 at its own 40-yard line when the Bulldogs defense showed its muscle again.
Commodores lead Georgia 17-14. Dogs scored first, but then Vandy scored 17 straight. Adams under center, going to drop back and be pressured and sacked back on the 29-yard line by Marcus Howard, the defensive end from the left side. He came right in, and Mackenzie Adams never had a chance to set up and position his feet as Howard gobbles him up.
Well, Howard just exploded through the offensive lineman. There had no chance for Adams to do anything with that football except just curl up into the fetal position and go down.
Marcus Howard with the sack. That is his second of the season.
Georgia's defense forced a 3rd and 19 at the Vandy 31, but the Commodores appeared to get themselves out of that hole.
They'll work out of the shotgun this time. Cason Jackson Garrison in the backfield. He'll flare out into the near flat. They'll go long down the field. Sean Walker, it's caught at the Georgia 40 and out of bounds at the 39-yard line. Walker with another big play for Vanderbilt, the junior from Rennes, Georgia, makes the catch, and boy, was he open in Georgia territory.
Well, Scott, there's a flag on the play. This one may be coming back.
They spot the ball on the 39, and there is a flag on the far side of the field at the line of scrimmage.
Illegal formation, sitting on the line of scrimmage on the offense. The wide out on the right side did not get up on the line. That's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
That's what we like to hear. Bring that thing back and back them up 5 yards. And Eric, I never understood that. The wide receiver who has an official right next to him, and they check with him to see if, you're good. He wasn't up on the line of scrimmage.
Well, sometimes they don't check with him, and obviously that's what happened there. And just a mental mistake. Great for Georgia that happens, because there's no question they were wide open on that play. That would have been a big momentum shifter for the Vandy team and the Vandy offense. But fortunately for Georgia, we push them back 5 yards due to the mental mistake.
An illegal formation penalty negated the Vanderbilt completion and helped spoil the drive. Georgia had held again, pleasing defensive coordinator Willie Martinez.
I think the defense showed, what they're all about. It's a young group. We've got a couple of starters out, and we got a couple of guys in there taking reps that haven't accustomed to playing, but they've been practicing well, and it's good to see. And I think it benefits us when we move our guys around in different positions, because we're able to play that when guys go down, and I think that was a strength for us tonight.
The biggest play for Coach Martinez's young defensive unit was yet to come. The third quarter in Music City came to an end with Vandy clinging to a slim 17-14 lead. Don't touch that dial. Fourth quarter heroics and victory are ahead when we return with Best of the Bulldogs.
When we come back on the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network.
They pitch it to Jackson Garrison to the 15. He plows over him, and he fumbled the ball. He fumbled it. Georgia says we have it, and the Dogs have the ball.
More highlights from the Dogs versus Vanderbilt here on the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network. This is the Best of the Bulldogs. Now back to Neil Williamson.
Back for the final exciting quarter of Georgia's last-second victory over Vanderbilt this past Saturday. After giving up 17 points in the first half, Georgia's defense had held steady and shut out the Commodores in the third quarter. The fourth period was filled with more of the same as UGA kept the pressure on both Vandy quarterbacks, Chris Nixon and Mackenzie Adams. On the Commodores' first drive of the fourth quarter, the UGA D was at it again.
Snap in the shotgun, goes to Adams, pressure, and sacked! Danell Ellerby on the 20.
Danell Ellerby had a fine performance again on Saturday with 6 tackles and has matured as he's aged in a red and black uniform.
Ellerby is trying so hard to prove to the Georgia Bulldog Nation that he's a fine young man and a very good football player. He had that issues early on in his career, and we see how he's turned around. His attitude, his effort, his whole mindset is much more mature. And he told me way back when he wanted to prove to everybody that he's a different man. And I said, well, only time will tell that. And he's still got some time to go here, but everything he's done since the time he got in trouble, I've been really pleased and proud of him.
There's Georgia coach Mark Richt. The sack by Danell Ellerbe forced another Vanderbilt punt, and the Bulldogs took over on the UGA 28 with a tad more than 13 minutes to play in regulation. UGA picked up a first down almost immediately.
They fake the sweep to the near side and throw it back on the right side to Goodman. It's complete, and Goodman is crunched at the 40-yard line.
Stafford then connected with Chris Durham and punched the Bulldogs into Commodores territory.
Stafford in the shotgun, takes the snap, throws it hard to Durham, complete at the 45. Durham still on his feet across the 50 and into Vanderbilt territory at the Commodore 49-yard line.
Georgia could not sustain the drive, and Brian Mims then delivered a perfectly placed 47-yard punt that trapped the Commodores at their own 6-yard line. Vandy found the going tough again on offense. After 2 rushes for a combined 4 yards, the Doors face 3rd and 5.5.
Pump fake, try to set up a screen, and it is broken up at the 5-yard line. Keelan Johnson plowing through the intended receiver in the backfield to break up that play.
The combination of a stellar punt by Brian Mims and a stonewall defensive stand resulted in a Vandy punt and the Bulldogs taking over 1st and 10 at midfield. UGA took advantage of the splendid field position. First, Noshawn Moreno, who would finish with a career-high 157 rushing yards, tore off a 15-yard run. On the following play, Matthew Stafford went up top.
They'll fake the run to the near side, and Stafford will roll to the right, complete to Chandler, and boy, did he take a pop at the 23-yard line. He took a shot right to the chops.
Trip Chandler, who was drilled an instant after catching the ball, popped back to his feet, but certainly felt the bone-jarring blow.
As soon as I got hit out and I laid on the ground, I was like, I'm good, get up, get to go. My buckles got undone, but just able to reel it in. It was big.
The 2 first down plays helped Georgia to the Vandy 13. After stalling there, Brandon Coutu came on to try to tie the game.
There's the snap and the hold, and the kick is good. Coutu with a 31-yard field goal has tied it at 17.
Once trailing by 10, UGA had knotted the contest with 6:12 to play in regulation. After the ensuing kickoff, Vanderbilt then hit high gear and hit a big play.
Adams, the quarterback, in the shotgun, takes the snap, stands in the pocket, throws it over the middle. It's complete to Smith. Smith at the 40. Smith across the midfield to the 40 of Georgia, down to the 35.
Vandy was in business inside Georgia territory. 4 runs later, combined with a Georgia penalty, the Commodores had ground down the clock and were sitting pretty. 3rd and 4 at the Georgia 8-yard line. The Bulldogs needed a hero and found several.
They pitch it to Jackson Garrison to the 15. He plows over him, and he fumbled the ball. He fumbled it. Georgia says we have it, and the Dogs have the ball at the 8-yard line.
Linebacker Akeem Dent had Jackson Garrison by the shoes. Defensive end Rod Battle hit the Vanderbilt running back as linebacker Darrell Gamble was knocking the ball loose.
I played over a tackle, and I seen the opening. I was falling down. I seen him running with the ball hanging down like a loaf of bread. That was Coach Martino telling us how they hold the ball. So I just punched it out and hoped one of my teammates pick it up.
Gamble forced the fumble. Danell Ellerbe recovered, and the Bulldogs had averted disaster. Georgia had the precious pigskin with 2:43 to play in regulation and 93 yards to cover to get to the Vandy end zone. But UGA didn't need 7 to win, just 3. 2 runs by Noshawn Moreno gave the Red and Black a 1st and 10 on their own 22.
Snap to Stafford. He drops back, looks down the middle. He throws. It is caught! Wilson catches it at the 43. He fumbled the ball! Did he get it back? I think he got it back. Yes, he did. Holy smokes.
Talk about your heart skipping a beat on that one. Tony Wilson with the catch, the fumble, and the recovery. Georgia with a critical long gainer out to the UGA 49. The drive was clicking. The clock was ticking, and sophomore quarterback Matthew Stafford was at the helm for the Bulldogs.
I don't know. I think we were just trying to get into the, if we were going to score, we were going to score, but definitely try to get into Katu's range, and we did a good job, and he hit it. It was nice. 3
rushes by Noshawn Moreno and a quick 5-yard pass to Tony Wilson helped the Bulldogs to the Vanderbilt 35. Georgia faced 3rd and 2, knowing that a first down would get Brandon Katu that much closer to the uprights for a game-winning try.
Stafford, play-action fake to Moreno, will throw. It is complete at the 25-yard line. Is that Chandler? Chandler, the tight end, or is it Figgins? It is Chandler. No, it's Figgins. Which one is it? It's Chandler.
Trip Chandler, huge play there by Trip Chandler.
Tight end Trip Chandler with another critical catch.
Just whatever I can do to help the team. That's all. It's not about me. It's just about putting our team in position to win. And luckily I was able to make those catches. But in the end, there was a lot of people that got us down there. Tony Wilson's catch. So it was an all-around team effort.
Georgia worked the ball to the 19 and to the center of the hash marks. And with 3 seconds remaining, the Bulldogs called on senior kicker Brandon Katu for the win.
There's the snap and the hold, and the kick is good! Brandon Katu at the horn with the 37-yard field goal to win it for Georgia.
Brandon Katu wore the hero's cloak after nailing the 37-yarder, but Brandon's been around long enough to know how much went into the first 59 minutes and 57 seconds.
The offense obviously did what they had to do, with just a few minutes left to get us in field position, give us an opportunity to kick a field goal. So, you have to give all the credit to the offense moving the ball the way they did, and then, everybody was blocking up front for me.
With plenty of football ahead still in October and November, the importance of this victory was not lost on quarterback Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, it was it's good, to win. Doesn't matter how you do it or, when it happens. It's just nice to do it. And with teams losing all over the place in the SEC and it being such a competitive division, it's nice to get a win.
Georgia coach Mark Richt weighs in on the effort of his troops.
I told the team at the end of the game that it wasn't a case of us falling behind against a team that's not a good football team, and then we just came to our senses and won. That was not that case at all. We were down 10 by a very good football team, and to be able to come back at their house, shut them out and then score enough points to win it in regulation was a great accomplishment, and I'm proud of the guys for that.
There's Georgia coach Mark Richt, and there's another victory for the Bulldogs, 20-17 over Vanderbilt. The Bulldogs improved to 5-2. Georgia is off next week, but we'll have a Best of the Bulldogs highlight show for you next Monday night right after the Bulldog Hotline with Larry Munson and Coach Richt. It'll be a Best of the Bulldogs first 7 games edition with highlights from all of the games thus far in 2007. Our next football game is Saturday, October 27th from Jacksonville as the Bulldogs take on the Florida Gators. That's going to do it for tonight's edition of Best of the Bulldogs. Thanks to Jim Ayers and Tony Schiavone, our writers, producers, engineers. And thanks to you for listening. This is Neil Hondo Williamson. We'll catch you next time on Best of the Bulldogs on the Georgia Bulldogs Radio Network.
This has been the Best of the Bulldogs.
Stafford will fake the handoff, throw back across the field to Wilson. Is complete. Wilson up near midfield. They'll hand it to Moreno. Cuts back straight ahead. Hole, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. A race to the edge. And he plows over him, and he fumbled the ball. He fumbled it. Georgia says we have it, and the Dogs have the ball.
Next week, a recap of the season to date.
37-yard kick for the win. There's the snap and the hold, and the kick is good! Brandon Katu at the horn. Snap in the shotgun, goes to Adams. Pressure and sacked. Dannell Ellerby on the 20. Throws. It is caught. Wilson catches it at the 43. He fumbled the ball. Moreno going to go deep again. He's got a man in the end zone. Bailey, touchdown!
This has been the Best of the Bulldogs on the Georgia Bulldog Radio Network.